Hey, hey, hey. We are live. You ready?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I didn't even see the little red thing up in the corner.
Yes, I'm trying ALH broadcasting so I can share it, share it, share it.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you. We lost our compadre. I don't know where Miss Ruth went.
Something happened. But
I
you
think
know,
there's just, you know how it is. Sometimes we lose somebody and they pop right back in. So I'm believing that Ruth is going to pop right back in with us in just a few
I believe
minutes.
so too.
I was going to go first for the weekend review, if that works for you.
Yeah, it does. I
We
don't.
don't have a lot for this week's weekend review, and then we've got you, and you go into our guest's bio,
Okay.
right?
All right. She's having trouble with her internet.
Ah, okay. Well, we know what that's like, don't we?
Boy, do I know.
So I'm
All
sure
righty. You want
working.
me to run the open at this point?
Oh,
Yeah,
yep.
go ahead. Mhm, absolutely.
Roll 'em.
Roll that beautiful bean footage. All right. Here we go, everybody.
Good evening, good evening, everybody. And looky there up in the corner is Miss Ruth. Hey,
I'm back. Yes. I don't know what
Praise the
happened, but
Lord.
we lost Ruth for a little bit there. So I'm glad that you are back with us, Miss Ruth. And good evening to you and Victoria. Good evening to
Good
you.
evening, darlings.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So glad to be with you guys tonight. We have a
Indeed.
good guest. Oh, my goodness. I needed this lady. I needed this lady like
Yeah, like 10 years
years
ago.
ago. Years ago. I tell you what, she is going to speak to the writer in you tonight. She has a wonderful book, and I'm not going to tell you any more about that because Victoria is going to take care of that part. But we're just glad to be here, glad to be with you. We're going to start with our weekend review. I am going to go first. I almost think that I have completed my writing assignment. I know we are just not even quite at the middle of the month, but for what I set out to do, I think I am where I need to be, and that is almost at completion. So I'm going to be speaking with my editor and publisher later this evening. And
Wonderful. That's wonderful
she
news.
tells me to go back to the table or just go take a nap and sit down somewhere. So
I'm sure she is
we'll
not.
see. We'll see how that goes. But I know that I know that we want to talk about something. And if I can just go on and put it out there on the table, I will, unless you two have something incredible about your weekend review that you want to share.
Not
I
even
wrote a lot. Oh no,
almost.
no, 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 Victoria, you did some great stuff this week. Your writing
Celebrate you.
challenge.
Celebrate you. We don't want to have to come and get you. And Julia will get you.
Yeah.
Will get you. So you better behave and come up with something.
Really? Did we forget? Look, you employed some new tools. You were able to get more words done.
Yes, 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 I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Okay. Want me to tell it? Can I go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I was challenged. I mean, we're doing the writing challenge. And Ruth had been talking about how she dictated her words. And I was like, I like to write my words. I like to type my words. But I was picking up my child one night from the after school program there. And I was sitting outside and I was like, you know what? It was also the night I was going to go live with my jewelry. And I said, let me try this and see if this worked. So I found a way to talk into my phone. I think I did 700 and something words. I was so excited. Yes, I exceeded my own self that night. And then I actually used it today. I was trying to type and it just wasn't working. I said, let me see how this will work so I figured it out in Google how to get the mic going. And I did 570 something words today.
Awesome.
Yeah,
See?
I'm so excited.
I want to say I told you so, but I told you.
Yeah, you can say it. Say it loud and proud. You did tell me so, and I didn't want to listen. So I'm glad I listened, and I'm just excited. Yes, I think I'm almost at my halfway mark for my words. I think I'm closer to my halfway mark than I was.
Okay, well, good.
Awesome.
Good.
Good job.
So I'll probably hit about 23,000 words tonight. So I still got about 600 more to write, but yeah, just coming along. So
Yeah, good for you. You are. It seems like you're really inspired, Ruth.
She's been holding on to this story for a minute, though.
Not even a minute. I'm just really excited about it. And like even the other night, I hit 3,000 words one day, 2,000 words another day. I had hit that part of the story where I was like, I don't know how I'm going to write this. But once I started writing it, the words just kept coming. So
yeah, I
keep writing.
See.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
I think that's great. That's great.
Awesome. Well, we're going to be busy the week coming up because we're going to be getting in touch with those who were gracious enough to join us for our first time ever live program with the live audience. Yes. And we promised you all that when we got it all in good shape, we would share it with you. So that is going to be the program next Sunday. Next Sunday, you will get to see what you saw that day. For those of you who were not able to attend, I think it'll be a real treat for you. And for those of you who were actually there with us, I think you're still going to like what you see. So I am just putting it out there now. I know we'll have some graphics and stuff during the week to remind you to tune into Authors Up at 7 p.m. next week, right before Thanksgiving week. And we're just glad. We're excited. I was really pleased with the way things turned out. I don't have any negative anything. We live, we love, we learn, we laugh, we do all those things. So all of that's kind of incorporated in what you will see next week. So I thank you. I thank you all for supporting, and thank you who were there for being there. And for those who could not make it, for sending us kind notes and kind words and things like that to keep us encouraged as much as we like to keep you encouraged. So I thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yes, and I think you're going to like it. You're going to like it. What you guys got to say about it?
I'm excited about it too. I think they'll like it too. And sorry, everybody that we know and love couldn't be in that room that night, but it was a wonderful event, and I'm looking forward to doing more like that.
Yeah. And we got to debut some awesome products that night.
Yes, drum roll. And one of them was, go ahead, Ruth.
Oh, our journal. Yes, our Write Your Journey journal. So
Write Your Journey.
That's right. And get a lovely pen to go with it. So
yes, we have a journal, y'all. We talk about journaling all the time. We got one.
So check us out on social media. If you don't follow us, please do. We are on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. And if you look up Authors Up Show, you will be able to find us. Follow us to get more information on how to order your journal and pen and other wonderful products.
Oh, we're not going to tell them where they can get the journal?
Really?
Okay, then.
I just said follow us on social media.
Wonderful Christmas gifts, y'all. The journal. Oh, I'm using it myself. See.
And
Okay.
we're proud of you. Yes, we are.
All right. Are we ready?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think we are. I think we are because
All right.
I want us to get this lady on so she's got some time.
Yes. I'm going to read a bio for the wonderful Miss Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts helps writers predict and prevent writer's block. I needed her like 10 years ago, but her unique approach includes the science of creative thinking, coach training, humor, empathy, and lifelong experience as a writer. She is the director of a large, free, active Facebook group of writers called Write Without the Fight, where writers get daily help with creative and writing conundra. Julia has her master's in the science of creativity and has 4 published books, including Amazon bestsellers Write Without the Fight, Master Your Creative Process to Write with Ease and Satisfaction, Sex, Lies, and Creativity, Gender Differences in Creative Thinking. Her TEDx talk is not just Mojo, the surprising science of creativity, and that will debut in spring 2023. If you wonder what is keeping you from writing, finishing, or sharing your creative work, Julia Roberts believes it is her mission to help you get writing, keep writing, and publish or produce. Writers are the best kind of weirdos, she says. The world needs us. After a very, very short break, you will help us welcome Miss Julia Roberts.
Yes. Hello, Julia.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, how are you doing?
Welcome.
Good. Thank you for that lovely intro.
Of course. Now we set a really high bar, so
I know. I'm like, who is that gal? She sounds great.
oh, she does. She sounds amazing. So thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight. I have to ask about the name. Who had it first?
Unfortunately, me.
Okay.
Actually, she only had it since she was an adult. She took her mother's maiden name as
Oh.
when she entered acting.
Oh, okay.
didn't
Okay.
know
The fact
that.
that you knew that. I
Her
did not
brother
know
had
that.
done the same thing.
Okay.
So
All
I don't know
right.
what their growing up name was. Whatever. But
Well, you know what? That's fine. You had it first. It's yours.
at first,
You'll
right?
make great things out of it. So
I'm trying to get her to use her middle initial, but she's not. You guys all use yours.
yeah. And we're gonna get to that point in a minute because I like how you wrote certain things that we're gonna touch on, including humor. But let's talk about your book, Write Without the Fight. That is very catchy, but it's very intentional too. Tell us about your book.
So Write Without the Fight, from my point of view, I was fighting writing like a lot of my adult life. I always wanted to write a book. I always wanted to be published. And for reasons I didn't understand, I just couldn't, get over that finish line. I did in 2008 with my first book, Motherhood to Otherhood, which went traditional path, agent, etc. But then when that was about to come out, I was like frozen in my tracks. I just felt like such an imposter. I expected like the imposter police to show up at my door and somehow arrest me for something I had not foreseen, But
Right.
so I just realized I needed real help. Like I was just frozen and in a panic. Like I had given my baby to the publisher and they'd put it out in the snow and I was powerless to help it.
Oh,
It
good. Uh-huh.
was really hard. It was just a reasonable book. It performed reasonably. I was on some shows. Nothing like that made me nervous. Like a TV show, radio shows, nothing like that made me nervous. But just the idea that that I was the authority, which is, the root of that is author. That's very hard to step into those shoes. So at any rate, I started looking for help. And my first step was Martha Beck. And I went and got coach training, which first I got coaching and I was like, this is so good. And then I got coaching. And it kind of gave me like peace between the ears. I was able to sort of turn around a lot of my icky thoughts and be less hard on myself, which I thought was part of my value, that I was hard on myself. Like, you guys don't have to be hard on me. I'll be hard on myself. But instead, I just realized how much it was holding me back. And then I went into creativity coaching with Eric Maisel. And he's written like 30 books on creativity. He's really amazing. Anyway, I trained with him as a creativity coach. And then I thought, wow, I found my purpose, my people, and then I still kind of wasn't there yet because so much of it was intuitive and I'm a little cynical. Like a lot of coaching is just like, you can feel it, so it's true. It isn't untrue, but I just still needed that little nail in the, nail in the head. So I went and got my master's in creativity. And I felt like that finally gave me what I needed to understand how I work, how to work better, how to deploy my brain the way my brain deploys. You know how you look around and everybody's doing what you can't do and you just think, what's wrong with me? Instead of what's right with me.
Yeah.
And there are things that are right, really, really right. And you can't just focus on that little thing you don't do well. You got to figure out how to skate over that part and do your part really big,
Oh, wow. Okay. So it sounds like there's a lot of stuff we need to change about how we think about writer's block.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's different for everybody. It really depends on how your personal brain works.
Uh-huh.
And and then we compare all the time. We always compare. It's a survival skill, right? Because if you don't compare yourself to so-and-so, you could end up being the person who doesn't run the tiger or whatever. You don't have to run faster than the tiger. You just have to run faster than so-and-so. So we're always constantly comparing. It's how our brains are wired. So if somebody says, oh, this works for me, and then you go try that, the only thing you can take away from that is, oh, I'm dumb or stupid or bad. Why does that work for her? And whatever that is, I set a timer. I use a verbal, I speak the words. Whatever it is, if it works for somebody but it doesn't work for you, all you can take away is, I knew it. I knew I was dumb. I secretly knew.
Who does that sound familiar?
No, but what isn't understood or generally talked about is that there's like 16 different ways that you might get stuck. Because there's 4 major thinking modes. And they're named for, like, they have a different outcome. They require like a different mood and approach, and they have and they kind of have different locuses in your brain, or loci, or depends on how you on the sound. Anyway, but so there's 4 major thinking modes that it takes to do any creative thing, whether that's write a whole novel or name a chapter or something really easy like something that rhymes with Bob. Your brain's still going to go through those 4 ways of thinking. So yeah, it's just like wash, rinse, repeat. It's just always going to happen unconsciously, whether so there's parts of that you're really good at and that you really like. I was a brainstormer for 25 years. And yet it hadn't occurred to me that I'm a really strong ideator. I just thought, what, doesn't everybody think that whatever they can do well, everybody else can do that well too? I don't know why that is, because it comes easily to you and you just think, why are those people going to answer phones? Stay right here. We're doing ideas. It's fun. It's, it's pizza. It's Nerf guns. Why are you doing that boring stuff? But anyway, so I was a strong ideator. And that doesn't come as a surprise. But then when I was actually assessed, what I found out was news to me is that I was a really low clarifier. And I'm tempted to say poor or bad, but it's really just energy. It's not necessarily your skill set, because people can definitely improve their skill set, but clarifying still drains me of energy. Ideation still gives me energy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm like, I could brainstorm all day. Other people would be exhausted after a couple hours. Oh my God, that was long. You know?
Yeah. Yep.
Where's everybody going? We're going to keep going, aren't we? So it's really what drains you of energy. And so obviously if you're drained of energy by trying to do this thinking mode that you don't like, you're going to not do it as well, possibly.
Right.
You're going to avoid it, or you're going to try and skip it or skimp it.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is you waste a lot of time. You don't finish your thought, your project. You know, you don't build. You just stay in this little spiral of. So that's what kept happening to me. And I think people kept saying to me, pick one idea and stick with it. And you're like, duh. What idea?
You didn't think of that.
What idea? You know, you have to clarify what idea and why. Yeah.
Right.
You know. But so people would give you information or what works for them, and you'd go home and try it, and you'd be like, well, I don't know, it's just still not working for me, you know?
Right.
So anyway, that's my little journey. It took me a long, long time to figure out how I think, where I really fail to think or fail to do it, and then what. And I used to, like, especially in brainstorming, which was my profession for a long time, like stamp my feet and sort of roll my eyes when people tried to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
So the very help I needed kind of pissed me off. It made me like anxious because somebody might notice that I'm bad at it. It made me bored. You know, it's like, why are we doing this? Let's get to the ideas where I can click. So I realized not only is this my weak spot or my struggle is a better way of saying it, but it's also an area where I kind of didn't accept help.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, also I would feel judged by them because they wanted to clarify, like when we were done, all the ideas or whatever, they'd be like, go home, little ideator, you know, we'll do the hard work now because they value what they do for creativity, you know?
Right.
So,
Right. You know, and it's funny, I listened to you and I recognize like 3 or 4 of those intelligent or personality tests that I've taken, and I could have just gone to you like 10 years ago instead of for all of those.
oh,
But
me too, though. It took me a long time.
oh yeah. So let me ask you this. You know, obviously it was a journey to get you to that point to understand who you are, how you function. How long did it take you to actually write this book and get all your thoughts down on paper and in a way that you could get to your publisher and say, here you go?
So this book, I graduated with that degree in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a while just to figure out that I cared more about writers than just even corporations. I thought I was just
Right.
hopping the fence and doing corporations, but I just was kind of done. I've just done that a long time. So I decided to create a business that let me just spend my days with people I really care about, which is basically writers. So
Oh, I like that.
so that took me a while. And then I started blogging and getting this concept together. I started my website, which was called Decoding Creativity, which was really aimed at corporate America, and then pulled back, and kept the URL, kept the name, but brought it to writers exclusively. But that takes a while, just not only to conceive, but also to deserve. Somehow you have to deserve the life you want. I don't know what that is, but you know that feeling where you're just like, oh, who am I to think I can do that? You know,
Yeah.
Right.
or just also the money question. People always are like, just you have to have a money making. You can't have a. But I think when you really love something and you really want to be with people, it shows, and you can make money at it.
Wow.
You know, I just think it does.
It definitely shows. Definitely. You know, even from a writer standpoint with the book and even just listening to you talk now. And the thing that sticks out to me the most, you know, especially from your bio, but from the book itself, is just the empathy part of it. You know, you said it before, it's not just, you know, stop thinking, you know, instead of thinking, oh, what's wrong with me? What's right with me? You know, and I was one of those people who said, oh, I don't get writer's block until I got writer's block for like a year and a half. And it took me a while to actually, number one, admit that. And then number two, figure out how to work around it. But even now, you know, after having gone through your book, understanding that, I need to be nice to myself. I
I
need
know.
to show myself a little empathy because maybe that's just the way I'm wired. Maybe I need to look at this some differently, you know?
I love that. That I think is a big. I hope everybody sort of gives themselves permission to be who they are, and
Hmm.
not and just not apologize for who they aren't.
Right.
Like I'm struggling with that, but I'm working it out, or I'm getting a tool, or I'm bringing in a
Hmm.
collaborator, but I
Yeah.
mean, I'm really good at this.
Right.
We all have to do it all. We all do it all, regardless. But if
Right.
we start putting our ego in play and we only want to play where we're good at it, or we really, that's when you get blocked because either you get stuck in a mode of thinking that you're really good at it that you love, or you get stuck in one that drains you of energy and you just can't get through it.
Hmm.
you know. But a lot of times we hang out where we're happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
But
like that.
Indeed.
you know,
Indeed. Well, I wanted to just say a quick welcome to those who are just coming on to the broadcast and to let you know that we have a wonderful guest, Julia Roberts, with us tonight. And she is the author of Write Without a Fight. And if anybody on the line has ever put down a word or a sentence, this is a book you need to have. Sorry to steal your thunder, Victoria, but
It's okay.
this is a get the book moment.
Yes. Yes.
And thank you for joining us. Our friends from Toronto are on the line tonight. Thank them for being with us and for
cool.
sharing this information. Absolutely. So I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry to break in, but I wanted to make
Oh
sure.
no, no, no.
That's
It's your turn, Andrea.
Oh, it is. Oh,
Yes.
well, looky there.
Your timing was good.
Well, you finished, Ruth?
Yeah.
We're going to come back to Ruth. I'm not sure Ruth was actually done.
I know.
But I don't have a lot of questions. I do about the two groups that you have, the Mighty Writers Club, which I see back there, and the other group that you have. How many people are in that group, and how diverse is it?
That's a good question. So my Right Without the Fight group is a free Facebook group. It's a few thousand, three, maybe four at the most. In terms of diversity, it's gender diverse, not very. It's a lot of women, some men. They speak up a lot.
Are they novelists? Are they poets? Do they come from all?
Yeah, there's definitely poets and novelists, and also there's people who are writing nonfiction, memoirists. A lot of memoirs lately. Maybe because of my age, but I kind of maybe because writing is sort of a mature creativity as well. But I tend to have people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. So that's a lot of memoir. A lot of people are coming to writing with that in mind. Uh, I've never written a memoir, but it isn't that far from fiction. You still need to fit that same structure and that's
Mhm. That's right.
But does that answer your question?
Yeah, it actually does. When I was looking at the book, one of the things that stuck out to me, which was the very first part of it, was examining the way that you think, your creative thinking process, and that's just something that never ever crossed my mind. I said I do mostly poetry. Victoria started out as a blogger.
Mhm.
Has always written great romance novels and things like that. But I'm on the inspirational side, so I tend to, if God's not busy and doesn't want to write that day, I'm probably not going to have anything to put on paper because that's just the way that it works. But I did try my hand at fiction, and I'm trying my hand at something else. So I really, this is the kind of book that, and I'll say this for our listeners, this isn't a skim over. This is like your writing handbook. This is your textbook. And you need to get it, and you need to, even if you don't think you are a writer. We've had some wonderful people on the show, and they just they didn't start out thinking, gee, I want to write a book, or, you know, some things just kind of evolved for them. But I think that if you ever have a desire to write anything, this book will help you get her done, as they say. This will help you. And I'm just so glad that you wrote it, that you cared enough about the weirdos.
I do feel if somebody's compelled to write, it's because they're a weirdo.
Yeah, you know,
in some way, we're like in the margins. We see something that people aren't seeing, in the best kind of way. But you know, and that's why we're compelled to write. Otherwise, you know, I could just be eating brownies right now. You know? So, you know, but I have this little thing that I think people need to know about, and that's what I mean by weirdos. Like you have a marginal or edgy sort of idea that you think needs out there, and that's why you're compelled. I'm going to say one thing though, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Poetry, Andrea. That is a convergent skill. So the two big buckets of creativity are diverging and converging, right? So diverging is everything everywhere, you know, all at once. And converging is selecting and perfecting, right? So everybody does both. They really are the inhale and exhale of creativity. You can't not do it. If I didn't converge, I couldn't have shown up at a certain time, you know. But it's obvious with my ideation background that I'm a really strong diverger. And I kind of, you know, struggle to converge because I love everything, you know. And it becomes a weakness when you do that. So, but poetry in general is a convergent. You're creating by subtracting. Does that make sense? Like in the same way sculpture is creating by subtracting instead of creating by.
Wow. Okay.
So that kind of puts you already in a big bucket, and you know, like that already kind of separates you in some ways as a convergent.
That's interesting. Wow, I never thought about that. Good news. Good news. I'm not as crazy as I thought.
No, you select to perfect, baby. You got your hand on the wheel. Select. Heck no.
Yeah. Way to go. Way to go. Ideation. I've heard you use that word a couple of times, and clarify that for me. What is
it is a weird word. So it's kind of a businessy word, really. It's like the process of coming up with ideas. So it's just my business background coming out. I agree it's a little off-putting for regular. We would just say getting ideas, but that's what that is. Yeah.
But ideation sounds so much nicer.
Yes, it does.
But it is sort of an academic, businessy word. Yeah.
Right.
You know, and I want to make sure that even though this is academic and is used a lot in business, that it still is really accessible to regular creative people who kind of might even, especially writers, because we're a little bit rebellious, anti-authoritarian, might be like, I'm not doing brainstorming, you know what I mean? Whatever business words that, you know, I don't want to be branded or bundled or, you know, all those sort of things that I want to make sure that it does speak to writers and doesn't leave them out of that, because that's who I think deserves the help. It just is my own bias, but that's who I think deserves the help.
Absolutely. Miss Victoria, Queen Victoria, I know you got something. We have one of the listeners that says she started out with poetry as well, and she's written a couple of wonderful books now. So hats off to Angie. Oh, thank you, Angie.
Well, I have observations and I'm gonna say questions. Because there was a couple of chapters that really, really stuck out to me, and I like maybe share a little bit with our listeners and our viewers. How to tell if you're blocked, lazy. Or just scared. That just jumped out at me because I think maybe I got all three of that going on. But could you just tell us a little bit? How do you know if it's really truly, you know, if you're blocked, lazy, or just scared? Come on.
Well, okay, so that title comes straight out of what people think, including myself. And I'm just like, oh, am I blocked? Am I lazy? Am I just walling myself off because I'm scared, right? So, to tell the difference is to let all your defenses down and be honest with yourself, right? So if you're blocked, there's probably a tool that can help you. If you're lazy, you might be out of energy. I'm just saying. Or you might be in a phase of thinking that really costs you a lot of energy. So when I'm editing, I try and be extremely kind to myself because that's convergent. It costs me a fair amount to do that. And I feel it should happen as quickly as generating, right? 50,000 words whatever. And it's not true and it's not fair, right? And so you're setting up things that are hard and wrong headed. So and then if you're scared, you're probably thinking, I'm no good, nobody cares, I shouldn't be bothering, I should probably make dinner, I should probably mop the kitchen, I should do something that establishes my value, since these 3,000 words that I'm about to write will not establish my value, right?
Wow.
So if you're scared, you're probably trying to self-valorize somewhere else. And if you're lazy, the kindness has to kick in, because you might just be in a very hard thinking skill, or you might be just tired, for goodness sakes,
Right.
And lazy is just one of those words that you should just get out of your vocabulary, because it's really mean. It's really mean. And then, blocked is probably a thinking skill that is shutting you down. So you should try a tool that has to do with that particular
Right.
thinking skill. I don't have to work hard to know anymore, because I know it's clarity every time. It's always clarity for me. So I can just use a clarity tool and it'll usually get me going again, unless I'm being
Wow.
busy. But
So in your opinion, would you say writer's block is not really real, or would you say writer's block is real, but you have to use a tool to get out of it?
I think writer's block is definitely real. It's a
Okay.
matter of struggling and not understanding how to get out, and getting bad advice, a lot of bad advice about it.
Mhm.
And then self-judgment. And self-judgment is block. End of subject.
Okay.
Kills all
That's
creativity.
key. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's key.
So, I mean, like, say, for instance, I'm doing something very slowly or not at all. The only way I can prolong that delay is by, judging myself for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've already spent 6 hours and I hadn't written a thing. I can make that into 12 just by judging myself.
That's procrastination?
I think that's a skill we all have.
It's tight.
Right? So, and then, like Einstein called it, he didn't call it what I call it. He called it combinatory play. Like, if he couldn't come up with the answer to something physics wise, he would play the violin. And is that procrastinating? From his point of view, it wasn't. It was just allowing the thought to come, allowing himself to stay in a positive place. Upshifted is the term, like going to your neocortex instead of your fearful brain. So staying in a combinatory play. So that's how he would incubate and allow himself to take the break he needed to do the creativity,
Wow.
to finish the creative task.
Mhm.
So
Okay, so you're saying we should not kick ourselves and feel bad. We just need to maybe step away and let the idea come.
step away and do something good. Make, it sounds like I'm going to say mop the floor. What I just said was valorization, but you're doing it in a different way.
Right.
You're creating time and space for you to stay upshifted and allow your brain to do the work.
Love
Wow.
it. Love it.
I like that term, upshifted.
Yeah, it's not mine. It's definitely a scientific term.
I actually
I
am
did try
intrigued.
and really give credit throughout that book to people
Yes,
who
you did.
identified and developed these tools, because they're not, there's 70 years of work and tens of thousands of participants and hundreds of practitioners
Mhm.
who've developed this research,
Right, right.
I am actually intrigued by your master's. I've never heard of the science of creative thinking as
Right?
a course of study. How vigorous was that, and how long did it take?
It was 2 years. It
Oh,
was a remote. So what do they call that? You're there for a while and then you're remote. So, you're there for 2 weeks and then you're remote the remainder of the year.
Okay.
And then you're there for 2
Hybrid.
weeks again. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
And that helps enormously because then you get to know each other so that when you're online, it's much more vigorous in interplay and stuff like, you know people's points of view about creativity and what they work on. And so it's a really different level of engagement online, but it is largely an online thing. But because of the 2 weeks in the beginning, it helps enormously.
Right.
So it's at Buffalo State College. I don't know if there's another master's. There's a recent doctorate, I think, in the British Virgin Islands. The science itself, however, is not new. It's been around since the 50s. It was developed in response to the then NIS, later became the CIA, wanted what they called the CQ because they had a recent IQ, that was 1947, and they could test agility, and they wanted a CQ. Leave it to them. They want to be able to just rank us by number, right? My CQ. So they put a lot of money into creativity research, and that blossomed in the 50s and took off since then for other reasons, but they put a lot of money into it in the 50s. Sputnik happened in 57 and people panicked, like, oh my God, we've fallen behind in the creativity race, ingenuity, innovation,
Wow.
That's a word writers would hate. Innovation. That's a business word.
Well, I think I have a quote, I believe, from your book. Not investing in your inner writer is to deny your creativity, your calling, your self-exploration, your potential for growth, because creating is growth. And like any kind of growth, you invest time and money in pursuing it or avoiding it. Would you expound upon that a little bit?
Oh, so you're happening into my own little predilections. So if you have a creative drive, which everybody has to some degree and on some medium, right? But there's various levels of creativity in the world, for sure. But we all sort of have a creative drive. And if you are busy tamping it down and pretending you don't have it, it's going to cost you, If it's going to cost you in a lot of different ways. If I'm on stage, I go, it took me 40 years and 40 pounds to realize I should just go ahead and write, and it would be a lot easier on my body.
How about that?
People have all sorts of things that they do in order to pretend they don't want or wish they could, or, people bring out drama instead of putting it on a page. People bring, they're bored and they're restless. They do all sorts of things to compensate for the fact that they're not creating in the way that they're called to do. And that could be musicians or inventing or anything. But if you're stifled, it's hard on you over time.
Right.
Yeah.
But to me, even if all you did was write in a journal or write, for a local paper, or, people have different needs, different level needs to feel validated or to feel heard. But just to do something for yourself that is the creativity you desire.
Yes.
Is already valuable.
That's
right?
good. That's good.
I love it. Would you, as we, about to wrap up a little bit here, would you let our listeners and viewers know where they could get the book, any of your books, and how they could get in touch with you if they would like to?
Well, the book is on Amazon, just the normal way. And getting in touch with me is not that hard. Hello, Julia Roberts at decodingcreativity.com. So that is hard, I guess. That sounded like a lot, but that's right.
Get the book out there. Get this book. You need it.
You can also ask to join the Write Without the Fight club on Facebook, and that's a free group.
I did that while we were sitting here.
I'll get around to a preview.
That would be me.
But I post my blog. People can post their blogs there. We talk about things that are bothering us or happening. It's a really nice interactive group. So that's a great place to just sort of, get to know me or ask a question, or I'm there every single day. So it's a good place to.
That's
awesome.
I'm looking forward to being in the community.
It's a nice community, right?
Awesome.
Anyway, so
I think that's great. Julia, I thank you. We thank you so
Yes,
much
absolutely.
for being with us today and for sharing all of the great nuggets that you got and all the wisdom that you have released to us tonight. that I know is going to help us and help us in this crazy writing journey that we all are a part of. But is there anything in particular you would like to leave with us or with our audience tonight, either from the standpoint of a new writer or someone who's been writing for a while?
You would think I'd prepare something for this, right? It's always the question. So personally, I really feel strongly that you need to understand you're kind of brilliant, totally needed in the world, and all you need to do is get out of your own way.
Oh, wow.
Your ego's there saying, your ego is like really not a good thing for you. So just like let it drop and let yourself be who you half-assed are. Excuse my language.
Okay.
And that's good enough. Not only good enough, that's pretty brilliant in the world, just to let yourself be who you are, even if it's not all that you hope or all that all that people think you should be in that setting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, Julia, you didn't have to come on the show to slap me like that. I'm gonna save the other cheek because you just slapped one of them cheeks.
You guys have been such a delight. It's really
Get out of my own way. I wrote that down.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna put it in my
Post that
journal.
over everything, right?
Get out of my own way.
And you deserve it. You really do. I think people think it's, this little gatekeeper and that they can't get through that they can't get through that gate. The gates are busted open these days. There's Amazon, there's everything. It's a matter of, and even if you can't get through that gate, there's no rationale for not creating what you want to create. Look at Emily Dickinson. She was never published in her lifetime. And she's a brilliant contributor to our full understanding of humanity.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So true. Well, I tell you what, that about wraps it up for us here at Authors Up tonight. Ruth, did you have any closing comments to make?
Just thank you again, Julia, for joining us. We appreciate your book. We appreciate your wisdom. And if there are anybody out there, if you have any comments, if you would like to be a guest on our show, you can email us at authorsup@gmail.com.
Oh, righty. And Julia, just hang out with us for a couple of more minutes as we close out. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Truly enjoyed having you. And look, you guys, if you did not have an opportunity to hear the broadcast from the beginning, please remember that we replay on Saturday evenings at 7 p.m. Bring a friend who writes or somebody that you know has got that bug and is compelled to do so that they can hear from Julia Roberts and get plugged into the wonderful things that she has going on. So thank you all so much for being with us tonight. We invite you to come back. Remember, next week is very, very special because we will be playing the program that we did for our intimate afternoon with Authors Up. And some of you wondered, when is that going to be finished? When am I going to get to see it? Next week at 7 p.m. If you right here, you'll be able to see it then. So thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. And be sure to join us again because you never, ever know what's going to happen when you tune in to Authors Up.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Bronze Girls. Mwah.